Hello, princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we are going to look at my favorite 10, well, 11 really, I cheated, neutral eyeshadow palettes. There have been a lot of new releases of neutral palettes lately. Well, there always are because neutral sells, because neutral is supposed to please everyone, but oh, deciding which one to buy. And not only, see, I noticed a few things. Not only are people asking me, geez, which of the new ones, Patrick Ta and Melt and Artist Couture, which of the new ones to buy, they're also asking me if it would just be better off to get kind of a traditional neutral palette, the Biba, etc. Plus, you guys are also asking me, gosh, why is neutral always considered to be a warm palette? I don't like warm. I like cool. Exactly. And what is neutral? And it seems like neutral means kind of based off a skin tone. Wow, we come in every color of the rainbow. So what does neutral mean? Is it everything from mauvey, dusty pinks all the way through the darkest browns and into the blackest shades of eyeshadow? So we don't know what neutral is. It's always changing. Sometimes it's cool tone, sometimes it's warm. Our skin tones tend to lean cool or warm as well. So I think really a neutral palette is anything generally based, for the most part, around browns or grays. And I had to pick 10, cheated, and picked 11, but I could have gone on from there. I excluded quads and quints just to make my life easier, to be honest, or we'd be here all day. And I tried to narrow it down, like I said, to, well, we'll do 10 with one runner-up. Now, I'm not actually doing a countdown here, PRINTcesses. I am just going to do my 10 with one runner-up favorite neutral palettes I'm trying to do of all time. And here's where I'll start kicking myself. I would love for you guys to list below which ones you think I missed out on or where you disagree. And I'm sure I'm going to be doing this a lot while I read and realize what I've left out. But I've tried to include all the big ones. Oh, I know there's going to be one I'm just kicking myself about. So let's get into it. We've got swatches galore. My arm is still red and covered in kind of shimmer and dark shades. I just couldn't get it all off because I did swatch them all, new swatches, and we're going to look at all of them and talk about their good and bad points. Let's get into it, starting with, remember, no real number here. We got 11, so 10 and one runner-up. You can order them if you want to, but I didn't. We're going to start with the one that I am actually wearing today on my eyes. It is one of my favorite neutral eyeshadow palettes of all time, and it's a brand I don't usually review. It's just a good palette. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Natural Nudes. And we could say neutral, we could say nude. It's the same idea. This is a $48 palette, still available. I have all of these linked below if you would like to use this video as your shopping help for your neutral eye palette. So this one, I absolutely love it. Like I said, I'm wearing it today. I want to show you the palette in the pans. This hits almost every skin tone and works so beautifully with so many of our skin tones. Princesses, we've got beautiful creamy mattes and we've got shimmers. This is just an absolutely lovely, easy to wear everyday palette that could also be glamorous for nighttime. Let's look at it on the arm just so you can kind of see there's a brand new arm swatch of this $48 Too Faced Born This Way Natural Nudes palette. Boy, these names for palettes are so long. It's just a beautiful palette. If you are a neutral wearing lady or gentleman and you would get a lot of use out of it, this is a great one to add to your collection to get on sale. It's not limited edition. Okay, let's talk Natasha Denona. I mentioned neutral palettes always seeming, or nude palettes, always seeming like they go warm. And I agree with you guys who've commented on that. It's just not fair, is it? So let's talk about Natasha Denona. We have two from her. Let's do the cool ones first. The cool neutral palette by Natasha Denona, of course, is the Glam palette or the mini Glam. So I stuck them both together. That's not what makes my 11. I counted this as one. So we're going to look at the mini Glam and the larger Glam palette. Now the mini Glam, of course, is $25. You're probably familiar with this mini Glam. What a great, useful palette. Performs so well, so pretty. And I love that Natasha Denona mini palette. Price point of $25. It's so good. And we have, of course, the midi-sized Glam palette for $65, which is such a great deal. Mine's a little bit messy because I love it so much, but why don't you just take a look-see at those. Now, talk about cool neutrals. Those of you who said, why do neutral palettes always seem to lean warm? I agree with you. This one doesn't. Nice and cool for those of you who want a neutral look but prefer a cooler palette. Let's go to those arm swatches. What I have done is I have put the midi size $65 Glam on the bottom, and the mini is over the top of it, just sitting there over the top so you could compare those two. And I really suggest if you are trying to choose a neutral palette for summer, so many of you have told me you are, definitely freeze frame on those swatches so you can get a really good idea of what all of these look like. Everything I am showing you today is still available for purchase if you are going to try to get in on this neutral eye look for summer. Okay, let's put a Charlotte Tilbury in here. Now, Pillow Talk is really a beautiful neutral eyeshadow quad, but I didn't do any quads. I looked at all of her Instant Eye, you know, the 12 pan palettes. Boy, really, they're all kind of neutral. Charlotte Tilbury loves to play in browns and bronzes and beiges. It's her thing, right? So I probably could have closed my eyes and picked any of her 12 pan palettes, but why not? I went ahead and chose Pillow Talk as an homage to the Pillow Talk quad, which is such a great nude or neutral palette. Let's take a look at this here in the pan first. Oh, I'd forgotten how creamy and lovely these were. When I went to swatch them, ooh, they're just kind of luxurious feeling. Let's look at this on the arm as an arm swatch. Towards the end there, the Dream Trio at the very, very end of my arm there does get a bit bright for a neutral palette, but for the most part, this is a perfect neutral palette. Now, some of you might be saying, but wait, Rebecca, Charlotte Tilbury has two nude, she's got one called Super Nudes neutral eye palette. Yeah, it's not great. It's not her best. This one I think is, and is still very neutral. But again, all of her 12 pans kind of lean that way. You know, some of them have khakis and greens, which we could say is a neutral too, really. I'm not really sure where neutral ends, you know? I mean, we have things like the new Sydney Grace Temptalia palettes that are about to come to me soon any day now that are such bright colors. Nobody would call those neutral. But these, you know, there's a lot in there of what could be neutral and what wouldn't be. Let's move on to one I almost left out. Boy, would I have kicked myself because I really love this palette. And this is, by the way, the Pillow Talk Instant Eye palette is $75. Sorry I left that out. A little bit on the pricier side. You want to save a little bit, you can get this for $55. It is the Wayne Goss Imperial Topaz palette. Talk about a fantastic neutral palette. It's got that big pan of black for lining or deepening the look, and talk about useful neutral colors that work on every skin shape and every eye shape and every age, from young to mature. These just perform so well. They're so pretty, and like I said, $55. Let's take a look at them on the arm. Such a beautiful, beautiful palette. So useful. Nothing crazy exciting, but you know, sometimes exciting looks amazing in arm swatches and looks amazing in the pan. But are you really gonna reach for it every day? If you were stranded on a deserted island, you could take that Wayne Goss palette with you and look great every day to impress all your coconut friends and all the seagulls. Why not, right? Okay, I almost didn't put this one in because I'm doing all my favorites. I don't know if this is a favorite, but it's awfully close. How about the Huda Naughty Nude palette? It is a $67 palette. Again, you guys are going to say, just like Charlotte Tilbury, she does so many nude palettes, and she's got one before the Naughty Nudes. She's got other nude palettes, but of them, this one is my favorite, and I think the best performing. I like her larger palettes. So let's take a look at it here in the pan. Boy, we've got some shades here that I wouldn't really call neutral. That is one there, plus of course this weird jelly shade that nobody likes. But this one isn't really quite neutral, is it? But it is called the Naughty Nudes, so it is basically a neutral palette. I think it's really pretty and fun, and you can get so many looks out of this for $67. Not a bad price for high-end makeup. Let's look at it on the arm. and see what you guys think. As far as Huda palettes go, it is repetitive, I admit, but it is one that I like very much. We have to get Pat McGrath in here. Pat McGrath does such wild shades and such amazing duo and trio chromes. But you know what? This is a lady who knows how to do neutral palettes as well. Remember, I was staying away from quads and stuff, so I went with one of the Motherships, Mothership 7. This is the original Divine Rose. The Divine Rose 1. Look at that there. Now that is a pretty neutral palette with a few kicks of duochromes because it is a Mothership palette. So we have the 4 special shades on this side too, which you will see right now in the arm swatches. This is one of the more expensive on my list. It is $125. Look at those shades, and such a dream to work with, and so flattering and so beautiful because not all Pat McGrath shades are wild. Not all of them. Not all of them require makeup artist techniques to be able to use either. And I think that I really think that Divine Rose counts as a neutral because those dusty rosy shades really are kind of, they work with anything that you're wearing, from denim to diamonds. I think it works with kind of anything there. All right, but so many of us see neutral palettes as being brown toned. Talk about something that goes from warm to cool. Here is the Master Mattes by Makeup by Mario. It is a $48 palette, and talk about everything. So these are matte shades that the makeup artist Mario, it's really made for makeup artists. These go from every skin tone. Look at that. Boy, he has got you covered in there. And a lot of times when Mario does things with it, because this is really a professional little palette here, he will kind of lay down some on the eye and then do something a little bit crazier with the eye afterwards. But this also makes a very pretty statement eye that is very simple and very neutral. These shadows all perform really well. His price point at $48 is actually pretty good. I am a fan of Makeup by Mario. You guys know that if you have watched this channel. I hope you have. So this is a super, super good one. You know what I forgot to put in there? How could I have? I can't believe it. I did my Natasha Denona cool shades, but how could I have left out my other Natasha Denona palette? Look at me, and it's sitting there trying to get my attention, and I looked and I realized I haven't done it yet. The Natasha Denona Biba palette, kind of the queen of the neutrals. So she was supposed to be in right there after the Glam palettes, but she's made a special appearance here instead. This is what we kind of see as our traditional neutral palette. And in fact, written in huge letters on the Biba palette, it even says all neutral. I don't know if I can get it to focus in on that, but it says all neutral Biba palette. This does run really warm, although there are some cooler shades here too. This is kind of the queen of the neutral palettes. Let's take a look at it on my arm because I have swatched all of these for you guys so that you can take a look at that. Can't believe I was just running past it, but we have so many to do, and they're all neutral. And you should see I made quite a mess swatching. There's just basically brown shades all over the place and on all the towels. And I thought anybody who comes in this room is going to guess it was neutral palette day. Okay, now I saved for last, the reason why this is in no particular order, although I will give some recommendations at the end. I saved for last all the newest ones. The first being Patrick Ta's Major Dimension Neutral Palette. This is $68, and as you know, I like to call it the Ta flap right here. We have 2 neutral cream base shades, and then 10 beautiful, very feminine neutral shades that run next to it. This is a very creative, very feminine, kind of girly, sweet palette. It is very beautiful, very easy to use, very foolproof. It is easily buildable, but doesn't come off, easy to smooth in if you're, kind of beginner friendly even, because it's such a gentle palette. Let's look at it on the arms. You'll see even the swatches aren't quite as bold. This palette walks with a very, very gentle stick to it. Very, very pretty. Let's look now at two of the last ones. We have the Artist Couture palette by the Supreme Bronze Artist Couture palette. So Patrick Ta was $68 and our Artist Couture Supreme Bronze is $42. This one is lovely. Now, when I did my original review for this, and I will link some of my original reviews below. When I did my original review for this, we talked about how this row here actually is cooler, but what draws everyone's attention is these warmer shades. So it gets labeled as a very, very warm, leaning palette, and I don't think I would disagree, but it does have some cool shades in there. Look at it on the arm and see for yourself here as we go to those swatches. It is a very beautiful, very well-performing palette, actually, and I am a big fan of it. Okay, and now last but not least, another new release. This is the Melt Brunette palette. It is $48. Of the new releases, this actually is my favorite. I think it's my favorite, also my favorite palette that I've ever tried by Melt. I think the shades are just brown enough to have some heft to them and some kick to them, and just gentle enough to still count as pretty neutral. I love the way they wear. I love the way they apply. I'm a really big fan of this palette. Check it out here, swatched on my arm. So those were 11. We're going to call it 10 with 1. And I got to show you what happened here. Oh my goodness. I have lost a black shade. This fell out when I was holding up one of them. I got to find the culprit, but it has definitely marked me up. So I'm going to go find what that culprit is. Now it's your turn. Let me know what palettes you think I left off. This is where I go, oh, you did. You know, again, any of those Charlotte Tilbury 12 pans could have gone in here. They really could have. There's some Tom Ford that I could have gotten in there easily, but remember I didn't do quads. What did I miss in here, guys? I really tried to get a broad scope of neutrals. Are you going to purchase one of the new ones? Those last that I did there? Or do you want to just kind of go back and pick up the Biba? My goodness, you can't go wrong. If you want a neutral palette, the Biba really is the queen of them all. And that Too Faced Born This Way for $48 that I'm wearing today, I just love it. Every time I get a chance to play with it, I do on camera. So fun. I have them all linked below. But my suggestions, you really want one, I mean, it's the Biba. You want something beautiful? It's Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. You want something useful, bland, but pretty? It's Wayne Goss. Boy, I could recommend every single one of these. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what I missed. Tell me what you recommend to the community here of the 11 that I've listed here. Which one do you think should have been a runner-up? Maybe the Huda of all of them? I don't know. Let me know below in your comments. Give this video a thumbs up. Oh, I have a blackened hand there from that shadow. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I sure hope that you did. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.